And if we're if we have that self-doubt, we're not going to make interesting new discoveries, are we?
Yeah.
So how do you get people over that?
What now, right? What do you do? Well, surprisingly enough, the first step, just putting a name on it, destigmatizing, having a competent authority, people feel so relieved just at hearing that this has a name, that it's essentially a legacy of our genetic heritage. It's like the appendix. Sometimes your appendix gets inflamed and you get an appendicitis.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes your imposter syndrome acts up and you get an imposter syndromitis. And that's all it is. It's normal, it's natural, and a huge proportion of the population has it. Destigmatizing is step one.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. It lifts the stigma. Step two, in a sense, is de-dramatize. I find that in our cultures, we've become so uncomfortable with discomfort. We kind of expect perfection of life and of ourselves at all times. And as soon as we feel any physical sensation of discomfort, of unpleasantness, then it must be a malfunction and something seriously wrong, right? Whereas there's great performance value to be taken from the Buddhist mindset of, you know what? Discomfort's a natural part of life. And I'm actually pioneering a course at Haas Business School on innovation and leadership, and one of the key things that we're giving our students is the knowledge that the best thing you can do for your career is to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So destigmatize, de-dramatize, disassociate.
Yeah. Realize
that even though those self-critical thoughts that are in your head feel so true, they aren't necessarily valid at all. So one example is, not that long ago, we were convinced the Earth was flat. Today, well, we're not even convinced the Earth is round, we know it's kind of pear-shaped. Why would we give any more validity to any of our other thoughts? Essentially, hearing's what your ears do, seeing's what your eyes do, thinking is what your mind does. You wouldn't want to shut off thinking any more than you want to go deaf or blind, but be aware that just like there are optical illusions that trick your eyes, there can be thought distortions that trick your brain. I've had the good fortune to work with some pretty interesting companies and institutions, and what's fascinating is to see how high up the ladder this goes, and to see some of the most brilliant performers, whether it be at Stanford, whether it be at Google, who even there can feel the imposter syndrome, and even there feel that I'm just this close to being found out.
Oh yeah.
And often getting them to realize that people just as successful as they, or more successful, or in the next cubicle, are having the same feeling, because it seems so ludicrous for their colleague, that helps them put some doubt as to this self-recrimination in their own head.